If you trade crypto, stop what you're doing and watch this video because I'm going to show you the secret to making explosive gains. That secret looks like this. It is a simple, repeatable pattern that when triggered can see coins skyrocket, just like it did here in Dogecoin, here with Solana, even here in Ethereum. I took this trade in Ethereum and used the profits to buy this Rolex. Now, unlike other strategies that rely on stochastics, MACD, and other useless indicators, this one is powered by the laws of supply and demand. I've been trading stocks for over 20 years, and I've used this setup to find nearly all of my big winners. But nowhere does it work better than it does in the cryptocurrency market. Today, I'm going to show you how it works, why it works, and how to identify cryptocurrencies that are about to explode. I'm also going to show you two I think will double by the end of the year. So let's dive in. Now, this is the last big move in Bitcoin. It took place at the end of 2024. Here to the right side of the chart where you see it ripped from 60,000 to 106,000 in just 2 months. And I've drawn out both the pattern you want to look for as well as put an arrow on the point where you want to buy. Now, one thing you need to understand about any cryptocurrency, any market for that matter, is that it tends to sort of stair-step its way higher. Nothing is going to go straight up, at least not forever. So you tend to get these strong periods of momentum followed by these long periods of tightening or consolidation that can last weeks, months, sometimes years, followed by another acceleration higher. And so our goal is not to sit through all this choppiness. Our goal is not to be the guy who held for 3 years and thank God I did, I finally made money. Our goal is only to be in during this period and this period over here. And that's what this pattern is going to show you how to do. It's going to identify these precise levels where you can buy and have all the odds in your favor. And so, as I mentioned at the beginning, these markets operate based on the laws of supply and demand. And really simply put, when demand outstrips supply, there's more people trying to buy than trying to sell, the price is going to go up. Inversely, when there's more people trying to sell than buy, it's going to go down. Very elementary, I know, but most people don't step back to think about it. And so what we are trying to do, and what this pattern is going to help you do, is exploit these moments where demand is still very, very, very high, but supply is very low. And when you've got very high demand and very low supply, when everybody wants to buy something, but there's not a lot of them for sale, that's what drives stock prices or crypto prices or any commodity prices higher. And so here's what's happening with this, all right? So for one thing, typically it's going to follow a big move up. Now, this one didn't take place for about 6 or 7 months after, but nonetheless, over here on the left side of the chart, you saw a big run in crypto, 92% in Bitcoin in just about 7-8 weeks there. And that's clearly a sign of demand. But what happens when people get up 50, 100, 200, 500 plus percent is what? A lot of them want to sell. I know you die-hard crypto guys are hold for life, but for the rest of us, for the average market participant, you get a good gain, you're going to sell some, you're going to sell all, you're going to sell all sorts of dip. And what that does is cause a massive amount of supply coming into the market. Whereas everyone else is trying to buy and accumulate and buy, now they're suddenly got all these profits on paper. They want to cash that out, and they're going to sell, and that is what pushes it back down. And then so you get this consolidation, and what's happening in this zone here is that the market is then absorbing that supply. All those people who want to sell are the people that just got FOMO and followed in, and then, it's not going, and they're getting frustrated, they're getting stopped out, or they're just running out of patience. You want to get all them out of the way. Because as long as there's a bunch of people willing to sell in a given price range, it's not going to go higher. And so what happens eventually is you get this shallowing pattern like I've drawn here on the chart. And let me kind of go back in time and play woulda, coulda here. But look at how this tightened at the end. Now, by the way, this chart I'm using, this is what's known as a bar chart. Some of you may prefer candles. Some of you may be used to seeing line charts or area charts. It really doesn't matter. I just find these to be the simplest and cleanest to see what I'm looking for, okay? And so here's what's happening. First of all, this thing has been in consolidation, right? You get these big dips of people getting out and taking profits. And in this case, it was about 27% dip there. There's still demand. People are still buying, push it back up, another dip, and another dip, and another dip. And what you'll notice is these dips, as we go from left to right, as time passes, become shallower and shallower and shallower and shallower. And what started out as like a 26% pullback, the next one was only 19%. The next one here was only 10%. The next one here was a measly 5%. And so that compression, what I call a shallowing on the chart, as you'll see it just kind of come shallow and shallow and shallow and shallow, that is the supply being absorbed by the market. And so once it has done that, once all the people who are going to sell are out of the way and you've consolidated that crypto, that stock, that whatever, into the hands of the people who are holding it and not going to get shaken out. Now, once you clear that supply, once you get through that area it can't get above, then it is now free to run higher because there is very limited supply, right? You've gotten through. So you have the same amount of buyers trying to buy this, but because you've got through all the sellers, because all the Bitcoin anyone can buy in the $50, $60, $65 area is now been bought. No one else is willing to sell for that price. So if you want more now, if the whales want to keep buying, you got to go, all right, well, will you take 70,000? Will you take 75? Will you take 80? And that's what causes these rapid and significant moves higher in a very short amount of time. It's not as if suddenly everyone's buying. It's usually the same amount of buying here during the big move higher as was going on over here. The difference being over here on the left side of the chart, there's plenty of supply, plenty of people selling. Over here, there's not much. So the same number of buyers are chasing fewer and fewer coins. And this pattern, you'll notice, is going to pop up over and over and over again. In fact, if we just let this play out, let's get out of replay mode here. This was the move we just looked at. So right in here at the end of 2024, okay, see how it kind of came in and finally started shallow and tighten, and then it breaks out and runs higher. But this is one of many. If we go back in time, you'll see a very similar pattern took place leading up to this. Look back here in early 2023. While this one is not perfect, you're getting the same elements here, the same idea. It makes a big move up, in this case 92%, 93% in a couple of weeks. It needs to absorb that supply. It comes in, it begins to tighten and shallow. Resistance clear as day. It can't get above 30,000. It can't get above 30,000. It can't get above 30,000. Helen Keller can spot the fact that Bitcoin cannot get above 30,000. That is telling you that's where the supply is. Selling, 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 tightens, 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 and then once it gets through, once it clears that $30,000 level, now you know you are through the resistance, the supply has been absorbed, and it is now free to run higher, in this case 122% in just about 5 months. And this is not like one-off examples. Again, I encourage you to go back through a chart. You'll see this pattern over and over again. Look at what happened down in here in 2020. You had the big bull run of 2019, in this case from 3,500 to 14,000. So quadrupled your money there. Then it starts selling off massive amounts of supply. So you don't want to touch it in here. It's not time to buy. But then it comes in and it tightens up nicely. And after a big retracement, it comes in, and then look at this. Shallows up, shallows, shallows, nice and tight, breaks out here, gets a quick move, one little retest, and then it's off to the races. But in the same way, you need to clear through the supply at the highs. You need to do the same thing at the low. Listen, people are panicking. It's gone from 20,000 to 12 to 10 to 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. Everyone is panic selling this stuff. You've got to get the panic sellers out of the way, or it cannot go up. Until everyone, all the scared money is gone, it cannot go, because, again, you've got supply outstripping demand. You got more people selling than buying. And so eventually what happened is you finally got rid of them. You got the same pattern, same shallowing, tightening action takes place over about 4 or 5 months. Breakout was so clear. Textbook action. Can't get above 4,200. stalling at 4,200, stalling at 4,200, cannot get above this 4,000, 4,200 level, then it rips through. Big move through right in here. That's your signal it's time to buy. And if you did so, you made a lot of money very quickly. In fact, this one went up 200% in just 3 months. So this is really the pattern you want to be looking for in cryptocurrencies. And listen, it's not just Bitcoin. This is Ethereum from a couple of years ago, and you had several opportunities to buy the exact same pattern. Now, this one right in here, you can see late 2021, after Ethereum made this big run up from 400 to 2,000, it does the same thing. Absorbs supply, shallows, tightens, breaks out, and from there, buying once it cleared a supply, it quickly doubled in just a month. But this was the last one. This is if you're late to the party. You had several other opportunities long before here. Look back here earlier that year. You can see the exact same thing. It comes up off the lows from 400 to 600. It begins to consolidate, to tighten right over in here on the right side. And then it begins to shallow and shallow, little wiggle, shallow, and then clearly breaks out here at around 600, 650 to make a rapid double in just a couple of days in this case. And that was the second one. You had another opportunity back in here. Go back a little further. This one got a little bit sloppy, so it might have gone against you a couple of percent, but same idea. Big move higher, comes in, shallows, consolidates, tries to break out. Took a couple of weeks before it really started moving, but big 50% move higher. And of course, that led to the next one where you could have added on. And that led to the next one where you could have added on. And so this pattern, until, of course, the run finally comes to an end. But you would have been buying here at 400. You would have been adding here at 680. You would have been adding here at 2,000 and made a massive amount of money, never having it gone against you more than a couple of percent. And you would have only been in right here during these explosive periods where everyone wants to buy. And I guarantee you, if you will start to use this, if you will begin looking at these cryptocurrencies in terms of supply and demand, looking for this simple, repeatable pattern, I can guarantee you, you'll be making better returns. You'll get into the big moves, and you're going to do so with much less stress. You're not going to be down 15, 20, 30%. Should I sell? Should I buy? If it doesn't go up immediately, if it goes 10, 15% against you, if it doesn't move in a week or two, get out. I'm not going to say it's going to work 1,000% of the time. Every once in a while it won't, but it doesn't need to, because when you're right, you're making 50, 100, 200+%, and when you're wrong, you're losing 10 or 15. And if you do that repeatedly, you will compound money at an unimaginable rate. Here's Dogecoin before the big move last year. Had a big, move here from 8 cents to 21. So it's about a triple, just about right in here. It then begins to fall apart. Everyone's wondering when to buy. But if you look for this, look, you can see it clear as day. Once it absorbs and shallows and tightens, once these last little pullbacks get down here in that kind of 5, 10, 12% range, then when it breaks through these highs is when you want to buy. And look at that. It exploded higher. You weren't sitting around for months hoping you're right. You were only riding this for this quick 200% rally, tripling your money in under a month. And listen, it's going to happen off the lows. It's also going to happen up near the highs. I mean, if we go back here to 2021, back when Dogecoin was just becoming a thing, when Elon was getting involved, look at this. You saw this big move. This is when it hit everyone's radar. Man, 900% in 12 days. I missed it. Oh, why didn't I get in this? Well, just be patient. A 900% move in a couple of weeks must be absorbed. If you 10x your money in 13 days, you're going to sell some. Let them get out of the way. And if you did, you allowed this to happen. And it rallied up and then tightened and absorbed and came in, breaks out here. That's where you want to buy it. And you'll forget all about that first move when you make 450% in 5 days on the next one. In fact, it went on to go much higher than that. We saw the same thing here in Solana. Look at this move in BNB. I don't even know what this one is, but it really doesn't matter. Big shallowing, and then look at it tighten. Look at how it compresses right up there against resistance. Now, if you think this move looks big, I've got this chart in logarithmic scale. Here's what it looks like, arithmetic scale. Yeah, that thing led to a 1,400% move in just 90 days. And it wasn't hard to spot. You see the pattern forming, you see it shallowing, you see it coming in, and then as soon as it breaks out above, you want to buy and ride that sucker higher. Here's the move in Shiba. Different coin, different time, different reason, same pattern, exact same result. And again, take it at a log scale and you see how significant the move actually was. It worked in Chainlink here in 2019, here in 2020, and here again in 2023. This pattern would have made you money in Cardano, Tron, Litecoin, Cosmos, whatever the heck that is, STX, even Stellar Lumens. I bought XRP here a couple weeks ago, and it went up 55% in just 9 days. This is by far the most powerful strategy you can use in the cryptocurrency market. And if done correctly, it will not only lower your risk, but lead to big, fast, explosive gains. And there are 2 coins setting up right now in this very pattern. The first one is Avalanche, symbol AVAX. As we can see, like many others, it's a mover. It routinely makes 200, 300, 400% moves. And right now, it's beginning to set up in this pattern. After a severe decline from 56 to 16 at the start of the year, we're starting to see Avalanche begin to consolidate. And you notice after a big final dip, it showed good strength. I mean, this is a 100% move from the April lows, an 85% move from April to May, and then has continued to consolidate. So if this thing will tighten up a little bit more, continue to compress over a couple of weeks, absorb that last bit of supply, I think it is more than reasonable this stock could double or more going into the end of the year. The other one I'm watching, Internet Computer, symbol ICP. This stock got absolutely murdered to start this year with a 73% decline. But as we see again and again and again after this big dip, it is beginning to consolidate. Panic sellers are all out of the way. It's absorbing that supply. And you'll notice how the pullbacks are shallowing. It is beginning to tighten. And if it continues this pattern and breaks out above $6.50, I'd be looking for at minimum a double on the breakout move higher. Now, if you like this, you want more tips, tricks, and alerts, please hit the subscribe button right now. We're going a concerted effort to grow this channel, put more content in front of you, and we want to be sure you get notified when we put stuff up. So click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.